Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield here with Maureen Callahan, host of The Nerve with Maureen Callahan. We did an excellent episode that aired this week about Meghan Markle's wine drop and Prince William's disappointment in the fact that Harry and Meghan would think it would be okay to drop it on Princess Diana's birthday after she was taken from us, allegedly linked to a drunk driver. You've got the best show on the internet right now, Maureen. I bow to you.
Oh my God, Kinsey. Well, that's high praise coming from you. We're a very new show. So we're in our third month so
Wow.
far, but we're kicking up a fair amount of dust. I'm enjoying it. It's really fun.
Meghan Markle could take a few notes, considering the fact that she just gets through one season.
And then she gets dropped allegedly. I mean, we're always told she stepped back. It's very Anna Wintour adjacent. Leaving of my own volition. Okay.
Okay, yeah, enjoy. Well, let's talk about Meghan Markle's rosé launch because we were just online. It's launched right as we started checking it out. Today's the day. Meghan's added a 2023 Napa Valley rosé to her as ever product line. This is her first move into the alcohol market, and this is after a string of high-profile setbacks tied to Markle's various ventures. We talked about the podcast failing, whatever happened to American Riviera or Orchard, rest in peace. If I had some Meghan Markle rosé, I'd pour one out for American Riviera Orchard right now. I'd pour one out for my homies. But this latest release suggests this persistence really in establishing a foothold in the lifestyle space, with which I think Gwyneth owns, despite a pattern of short-lived projects and brand direction. Can you tell me about the contrast between Meghan's ambition and the outcome? It always feels like she has much bigger expectations for herself.
I would say put Meghan Markle's and her ambitions on the west side of the Grand Canyon and put the outcomes of said projects on the east side of the Grand Canyon. And the yawning chasm in between is the ability to execute.
Yeah.
Now, in her world, as we know from her podcasts, doing your best, if you're talking especially to like Jamie Kern-Lima, like doing your best is everything. That's it. You just did your best and then that's all that matters. And it's actually not what matters.
Yeah.
It's actually executing for your consumer. And I honestly also, I don't know who Meghan's consumer is. I don't know that she knows who her consumer is.
I don't think she knows who her consumer is. I'm looking at the website. It's still available right now, but the minimum you can buy is 3 bottles for $90 plus $20 shipping. If we buy 6 bottles, we save 12%. And if we buy 12 bottles, not only are we potentially an alcoholic, but we save 17%. So to me, I think this is just another scheme to justify a quick sellout because you have to buy 3 bottles.
Not only that, but the increasing percentage of the discount if you buy more volume, I would imagine is completely canceled out by the increase in shipping costs because of the weight and freight of it. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh my, the weight and freight. That's going to be our band name.
Or if one of us ever writes a book about Meghan herself, I don't know, I feel like the weight and freight says so much, you know? The weight and freight of being the Duchess, the weight and freight. Yeah, we could go. Yeah, anyway.
I like it. I like it. What was your reaction to, because I called you almost immediately with my Prince William story because I thought it was pretty impactful. What was your
Incredible.
reaction to Prince William? eh, Thing in my mind, I was disappointed in myself that I hadn't connected the dots and immediately thought an alcohol brand on Diana's birthday, which we believe is intentional because of the outlets that pointed it out. It wasn't the first reaction wasn't she's launching this on Diana's birthday. Somebody had to whisper in someone's ear, she's launching it on Diana's birthday. And so I am disappointed in myself that I immediately didn't go, oh my gosh, Diana died in the car with an allegedly a drunk driver.
He was drunk. The blood alcohol levels proved that Henri Paul, I believe was his name, was drunk. I think you're being too hard on yourself. I really think you need to really as is the parlance of the culture, give yourself some grace, Kinsey. Like it is too much for the rest of us to have calendars that cross-reference every single meaningful date amongst the royals, and then what any given interloper or troublemaker is doing on the outside to try to capitalize on those. Or, I believe she's intentionally also trying to provoke Prince William and provoke Catherine, Princess of Wales. I really believe it. I think that she is animated purely by resentment, grievances, and I think hatred. I think some of it's self-hatred. I think some of it is outwardly directed. It's misguided. Not for nothing. Also, we've had a lot of reports coming out. You were pointing out the Sally Bedell Smith revelations about the Queen and her great disappointment and her grave alarm over Harry marrying Meghan and the wedding dress thing. I mean, oh my God.
We have to talk about, I didn't realize this because it was one line in a Daily Mail story that I totally glossed over, but the Daily Beast wrote an entire article based on this one line in the Daily Mail I'd missed. So thank God for the Daily Beast, which I say rarely. Meghan Markle is changing the white label supplier that makes her as ever branded jam, tea, and flower sprinkles. Her products have been available for a grand total of less than 2 hours in the 3 months since they went on sale in April. There are repeated sellouts, which hint at a lack of control. Another sellout scenario, they're talking about the wine, could risk tipping the brand from buzzy exclusivity into operational embarrassment. One quote I pulled was from Eric Schaefer. He's a reputation and crisis strategist for public figures who told The Express, Meghan Markle risks being named Duchess of Fake Stock if her wines ends up selling suspiciously quickly. But fast forward to today, fans fury as Meghan Markle's new apricot spread oversells, with disappointed customers who paid for orders left empty-handed and offered refunds instead. How has she allowed this to happen yet again? Because this happened with the honey last launch.
I don't understand. I don't want to give her too much credit. I have a couple of questions. When you say white label, she's changed her white label supplier. Does that mean the literal supplier of the labels that were peeling off the preserve spread in the first inaugural round?
No, what Kris Jenner's round? Kris Jenner got the homemade jam.
No, I mean the round that was available to us plebes.
Yes, I believe so. It's Tea Republic, something Republic Tea, where they say that is who initially was helping her with it. And
No, Kinsey, Republic of Tea. So I had someone email me, someone over at the Nerve, who had found a deep dive on Reddit. So apparently there is this company called Republic of Tea that makes tea, and allegedly Meghan just bought supplies of tea bags from them wholesale and repackaged them.
A source close to Meghan confirmed to the Daily Mail that Republic of Tea makes her as ever raspberry spread, but said the supplier was changing. And then the Daily Beast goes on to say, that was intentional. Meghan never lets us know those types of things. She's trying to point fingers at somebody else and point the blame at somebody else.
I'm so confused. I'm complete, and this makes sense. This is the brand.
Yeah.
Brand Markle is confusion.
Yes.
What the F is going on over here?
Right.
I don't get it. So she's again sold out of this apricot spread. So we have a new spread. We have a new flavor.
This was
a new
the last
flavor profile.
2 weeks ago or a week ago when she did a restock after telling Tina Knowles and Fast Company she wasn't going to do another restock. She did a restock and it was a new flavor. It was this apricot spread, and she sold out within a few minutes again. And everybody was like, sure she did. But she oversold, and she's had to send emails to some of the customers that purchased it, put their credit cards in, their credit cards were charged, saying, I actually don't have enough product. So I'm going to refund you, and inevitably I'll send you some apricot spread when I have some available for free. That is unacceptable the first time it happens, which it happened with the honey. And here we are, second launch, round 2, and she oversold. It's not just selling out, it's overselling. And I mean, do you think that that's a system thing where they're like, well, we'll oversell in case somebody cancels or in case somebody's
Mm,
credit card doesn't go through? Uh,
no,
Logistically, it just doesn't make sense to me. Why do you want a bunch of
I
free?
no, you know what I think she should do? I know she's smarting from not getting an invite to the Jeff Bezos, Lauren Sanchez nuptials, but I think she should maybe establish some sort of presence on Amazon
Mm.
and establish a storefront there, a virtual storefront, and get some schooling in how one distributes a product efficiently. I don't understand any of this. It feels so amateurish and it's so rich coming on the heels of her what I believe has been a canceled podcast by Lemonada because we know that Meghan loves nothing more than the sound of her own voice. And if you can put it on a microphone and pump it out into the bloodstream of America, all the better. There is no way, in my opinion, she voluntarily left. So that theme, Confessions of a Female Founder, which I always struggle with, Kinsey, because
You
my
say flounder.
mouth wants to say flounder, flounder. It's all about how one self-actualizes as a female entrepreneur. She did like what, 8 episodes of this thing, and she's out there trying to sling her wares, and she doesn't even know what her inventory is. Are you kidding me?
I'm so glad you said that because that's what I was thinking about when I was reading some of these stories about her hiccups. I thought the audacity to then go sit with Emma, I don't even know. God love Emma's first and last name. I don't know it. Skims
Emma
girl.
Grade A?
Yeah,
Is that how
grade
you
A,
say
Emma
it?
grade A. So, for her to go sit with Emma, who actually is a successful entrepreneur, and try to keep up with her in a conversation. It's like, you've done nothing but secure a prince, which is incredibly impressive. I mean, if it were any other prince, but the one she secured. But you know what? Like it just you're not on her level, and it annoys me that Emma would even entertain it. Except she's a clever marketing person and knows that you and I, who would never talk about her, are now talking about her because of her association with Meghan Markle. But Meghan going on these podcasts and trying to talk like she's Q4 skill packaging. It's like
Learns.
he learns. It's like, oh my gosh, it frustrates me that she continues to try to perpetuate so many lies. It's not just lies about the British royal family. It's I'm this girl boss. This is unacceptable to have Netflix as your partner who does this, Stranger Things t-shirts on every mall kiosk. They do this on a regular basis.
Again, my theories as to why Netflix remains in business with her are ever evolving.
Well,
Is
I
it
think you're absolutely right that it is in case she leaves Harry, they want in. I think that you hit the nail on the head the last time we mentioned this.
I can't think of any other reason why they would continue to be with such a diminishing force in the culture. Like
Mhm.
she never really was a great force, but again with this Bezos wedding, which I'm kind of obsessed with because it's been a long time since we've seen such a grotesque display, and that we talked about this a little bit on the nerve that Lauren Sanchez's dress very strongly evokes Catherine, Princess of Wales, her gorgeous McQueen dress. And,
Thank God she didn't
Lauren,
do Megan's dress, by the way. Megan's dress.
I mean, Lauren's not an idiot. You want to talk about bagging the big fish.
Yeah.
Harry or a billionaire, going into space, but, Lauren's making it very clear there's a new royal in town and her name is one Ms. Sanchez Bezos. And I think that, Meghan is smarting from not having been included in that wedding. She's maybe feeling usurped a bit. She's panicking, I think. And I also don't think her heart was ever in manufacturing teas and preserves. I think that she is throwing the proverbial spaghetti at the wall and seeing which noodle will cling the longest.
Hmm. No, I think you're right. Let's talk about that. Meghan Markle was allegedly left reeling after not getting an invite to Jeff Bezos' lavish wedding. Harry and Meghan's absence from the wedding has sparked speculation about their diminishing star power within Hollywood's elite circles. Meghan is reeling after not receiving an invitation to Bezos and Sanchez's wedding, as she considers herself, and I totally believe this, considers herself more famous and important than guests such as the Kardashians. It shows just how much she and Harry have drifted from Hollywood's core social scene, one of the most mocked in the world. They say Meghan's become one of the most mocked in the world, and She's failed to rebrand herself as a philanthropist, although I haven't really seen her try to do that. She's been happy to be loved up with Prince Harry on the Drew Barrymore couch. We're still in the dating phase. He still dates me. My husband's a fox. I feel like she's trying to come off as like I anything but a philanthropist. She's trying to sell her jam and also sell us the story, her love story.
Okay, so to this point, this is such a great point, Kinsey. If she's really interested in rebranding herself as a philanthropist,
Yeah.
and if she's as smart as she's always telling us she is, because she went to Northwestern, so she's smart, she would take one look at that freak show going on in Venice and be like, that is the last place I should be. That is the last place I should be. I was listening to somebody, this was such a smart observation, who was saying, imagine the luminaries, the power players who got that invite and were smart enough to turn it down because they knew what it would look like. The Barack Obamas of the world, the people who they would have killed to have at the wedding. Oprah's not that smart. She showed up at that thing,
And she sat on a table and let Gail tie her tennis shoes.
Excuse me, I think she demanded that Gail tie those shoes. Oprah may have lost a ton of weight on Ozempic, but just because she can now touch her toes does not mean that she's going to tie her own shoes.
That is so hilarious. No, that is a good observation. But I did get the sense when Meghan posted the beach video or the beach photo over the weekend on Instagram that was her way of saying, I don't need to be there. I don't even care that I'm not there. I don't even care that I wasn't invited. It's like everything she does seems so transparent and obvious. You mentioned Sally Bedell Smith earlier, and the revelations are pretty incredible from Lady Elizabeth Anson. This was Queen Elizabeth's cousin and best friend. She would also plan events for Queen Elizabeth. I love that. When Queen Elizabeth ever had a special event, she'd call up Lady Elizabeth, and not only would she help her prepare galas, but they'd talk about, she'd vent to her. And it's nice to know that she had that because towards the end of her life, I know we were all worried about how lonely she'd become. Lady Elizabeth Anson confided in Sally Bedell Smith that Queen Elizabeth was really upset about what was happening with Harry and Meghan. I was shocked when the Queen told me this and how she was so saddened. She said she was not at all content. Harry was rude to her for 10 minutes, she wrote at one point in her journals. Meghan wouldn't tell her about the wedding dress. The jury is out on whether the Queen likes Meghan, is another thing she had written. And perhaps tellingly, the Queen is very worried. I think this is such important information because if you watch Harry and Meghan's interviews, they always stress that they have a great relationship with the Queen. They stole her name for their child. They're always trying to convince us that everything is fine or everything was fine between them and the Queen. And that, I think, was self-preservation because they knew that the world loved the Queen. So if they were challenging the Queen, they were going to get some pushback. But King Charles or Prince Charles at the time, half the world didn't like him because of Princess Diana. That is somebody they could go after. What was your reaction when you read some of those quotes about Queen Elizabeth?
I agree with you. I think they're historically important. I think this sounds like it's probably going in Sally's next book, which I will be first in line to buy. I think, when you said how lonely the Queen had become towards the end of her life, like all these images came flooding back. It's so easy to forget because the news cycle moves so quickly, but COVID, everyone's in lockdown. When the Queen addressed the world and said, we will be together again, we will hug each other again, I thought, there are very few figures on the global stage who could say something like that and the rest of the world will believe it, given that she lived through the Blitz and all manner of historical consequence. I remembered seeing her seated alone at Philip's funeral. Remember that?
Yeah.
Was there a more poignant image and yet an image of such strength and fortitude and dignity? And these two vipers, for Meghan to refuse to let, I can't. I think my theory is that Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen, in her infinite wisdom, confided, these details to her most trusted cousin and lifelong friend, knowing that they would eventually make it into the historical record. And, this is again where I think Harry and Meghan are playing checkers, while over at Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, they are playing the long game. They are playing the Bobby Fischer level of chess, and these two are going to end up losing greatly. They're going to regret everything.
They are. It says the Queen didn't understand Meghan's obsession with fame or Harry's rash choices, and she worried that Harry, once so cheerful and grounded, had lost his way. Yesterday, after I read this, I made the comment, why didn't somebody stop him? But I'm wrong. They did. Prince William tried to stop him. Prince William said, pump the brakes. Prince William quietly went to their uncle and said, the Earl Spencer, and said, can you step in? Can you talk to Prince Harry and tell him to slow down? They can get married. They just don't have to get married tomorrow. They don't have to rush things. And Prince Harry was livid at the both of them for this intervention, was so angry with them. So it's not that easy to say, why didn't somebody step in? Because people tried, and Harry and Meghan, I think, then start to drum up this conspiracy about racism that I don't believe to be true. Now, Lady Elizabeth wrote, Meghan has blown Harry's relationship with his grandmother. And she explains the Queen trying to find out about the wedding dress, and Meghan wouldn't tell her. It wasn't just about the dress, it was about inclusion, again, about the Queen being lonely. It was about tradition. In the Queen's eyes, it was about respect. This is the Queen. All eyes are on this wedding because of the Queen, and Meghan's trying to keep secrets. And that wedding made Meghan a star. Before, she was just Harry's girlfriend. Overnight, she becomes a duchess. How ungrateful is this human being?
And how I'm trying to search for really the proper word. I mean, she you can see why, like, she really came in like, this is my monarchy now. Oh, sorry, you are the Queen of England, the literal Queen of England for decades, and you want to see what my wedding dress is going to look like? Because we are talking about a historical brand here. I am now going to be catapulted to the global stage as a representative of said brand. And rather than show some humility and rather than show some respect, her message is in sum and substance, not playing ball, lady, and it's all in line with that deplorable moment in the first Netflix documentary where Meghan mocks curtsying to Harry's grandmother, to the late Queen, and Harry sits mutely by like the eunuch he is and allows for that to happen. And it's a folie à deux. I've always said it. They are architects of their own misery. This is not going to end well. And for you to be given information as to Prince William's thoughts about this pathetic, tacky wine launch,
Yeah.
pegged to Diana's birthday, goes to show how out of patience Kensington Palace has become. They've had it.
No, I agree. Now, I want to ask you about this because we have broken down so many of Meghan's interviews recently. Lady Elizabeth was blunt in her assessment of Meghan. We hope, but don't quite think she is in love with him. We think she engineered it all. Think back to Jamie Kern-Lima when Meghan Markle moans, that man loves me so much. It's always about his feelings for her. When does she ever, aside from saying he's a fox, when does she ever show affection towards him? It's always about his love for her, how much he loves her, how crazy, all the sacrifices. That is always what she says. She never says, he's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm obsessed with him. Oh my God, I'm so in love with him. Am I crazy?
No, you're completely right. I always have the same thought. It's the same thing when she talks about her children and those daily and nightly emails she's writing for them every single day, so that when they grow up, they can say to themselves and have the realization, oh my God, she loves me so much. She loves it. Like, it's all about her. And, I agree completely with all of this theorizing because, there have been moments, many moments we've seen in public where Harry seems to be trying to make a break for it, and she will grab him
The
by
claw.
the wrist, her paw, exactly that paw will, that well manicured paw will grab him by the wrist or the arm or like the back. Like he cannot get away from her. She is smothering him. She is displaying that she owns him.
Hmm.
She owns him, and it's so emasculating. And again, I would feel sorry for him if he weren't such a terrible person.
Right. Right. Of
Just my
Harry,
opinion.
of Harry, it says the problem, bless his heart. I love that this was in writing. The problem, bless his heart. That's such a Southern thing to say, is that
Mhm.
Harry is neither bright nor strong, and she is both about Meghan Markle. That's why they were concerned, basically saying she was going to run him over, which we've seen over the last 5 years. And then Robert Jobson jumps in to say in early 2019, not long after the wedding, a senior courtier told him the boss is not happy, meaning Queen Elizabeth. She doesn't get all the celebrity stuff. She thinks Harry is throwing it all away for what? So they had more of an intuition about how terrible this was before we did. I mean, we heard about brides bridesmaids dresses and crying, and we thought we I think we chalked it up to the stress surrounding a wedding and everything going on in Meghan's personal life with her father. But they kind of realized that she was a tyrant well before we did, well before it was on our radar.
Well, imagine the changes in demeanor, affect, and even the way Harry interacted with those closest to him, right?
He was mean to the queen. He was mean to the queen for 10 minutes. I mean, that's got, if the queen is repeating that he was
Hmm.
ugly to her for 10 minutes, that stayed with her.
And that's what she was willing to let out for the historical record.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff we'll never know that was even worse, you know? Um, William, the fracture with William. And again, it's completely tragic because after Charles passes, and hopefully that's long in the offing, it's just the two of them.
Mm.
They're the only two members of their family of origin left. They're the only two people who knew what it was like to grow up that way. And now Harry is gone. William can never really trust him again. I've been seeing these reports. What do you make of this? I find them highly dubious, and I find them probably to be originating from Montecito, that Charles has outlined plans for Harry and Meghan to have active roles in his eventual funeral.
I mean, I think they're exaggerated. Obviously, the king is going to want his son at his funeral. I mean, and I'm sure that he would want him at one point or another within close proximity to Prince William. But um, I think that that's just common sense that the king is going to want his. And a lot of royal commentators say we won't see Prince William and Prince Harry together again until, unfortunately, the worst occurs, and King Charles is no longer with us. But I think that it's exaggerated in the way that their presence has been explained. Obviously, the king would want his son at his funeral. It would be sad if he wasn't there. Um, it's kind of, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if he were to exclude him, then history would think he was a monster, you know?
What is your prediction as to whether Meghan goes or not?
I mean, she doesn't like to go to anything. I couldn't believe she wasn't at the coronation for the commercial value period, because Prince Harry was there pimping his Dior, where, like Prince Harry's and Dior was the release we got from their team after the coronation. It's like, it's not about you, Harry. We don't care what you're wearing. You were sitting behind Princess Anne's giant hat. We
Hmm.
couldn't even see it. So I don't know. I think I'm more curious to see, and I think that this might give us some insight if Meghan has enough courage to go to the Invictus Games in 2027 with Prince Harry in the UK, where he's allegedly inviting his family to attend. I think if she has enough courage to go to the Invictus Games in the UK in 2027, then maybe she would attend the funeral. But I don't know if to me, it's a lack of courage and bravery that she doesn't show up.
Yeah, I mean, in much the way we were discussing the other day on the nerve that you're exclusive again, that we don't know really the full body count of, and I'm using that colloquially, of the staffers who have fled her employ in tears and were bullied, and how she hides that as best she can from Harry, but when he does see it, he will intervene.
Hmm.
Um, like all bullies, they're cowards at heart. And when the British populace made clear their feelings towards her, the last time she showed her face, which was the Queen's funeral, I doubt she's going to go. But the Dior thing reminded me. Remember, not long after that, where it was like, Harry's in Dior. Like, who cares? It's not about you, as you just said. Then we were getting these unfounded reports that Meghan was in talks to be the new face of Dior.
Yeah. Let me just tell you something. If Meghan really had a great relationship with William Morris Endeavor, her alleged agents, and
Hmm.
I don't, and I'm not saying she's not with them, because when Emma did some teasing for her podcast, there were a bunch of people from William Morris Endeavor in the comments talking about how cute it was, because it was not Meghan's head, but a woman in a suit that was Meghan. You could tell by all of Princess Diana's jewelry dripping off of her, is walking down a hallway. Then you see her hand holding a cup, and then she spills the tea. And Emma was teasing like Meghan, and she's like, guess who's spilling the tea this week? And that was the tease for Meghan. I looked through the comments and found some William Morris Endeavor employees in the comments. I sent them to Sally Bedell Smith. I sent the screenshots, and she's like, mail room.
How did you know, Kinsey? Like, are these names that were recognizable to you, or how did you know?
I was trying to see if they were burner accounts that were like, yes, girl. I was just trying to see if they were burner accounts, because I couldn't believe some of the feedback. And they were putting William Morris Endeavor in their profile. And so
Oh my
I
God.
screenshot the comment, screenshot, sent it to Sally. She's like, mailroom. But by the way, I should mention that all of these details are on Sally's Royals Extra Substack, Royals Extra by Sally Bedell Smith. So go check that out if you haven't already. But so I think if she really truly had a great relationship with William Morris Endeavor, they could secure her Dior. I think that it proves to us how difficult and how difficult she is behind the scenes, because otherwise they would bend over backwards for her. They are magicians. They could make stuff like that for her happen. But I don't think she's a nice person, and I think they've realized that, and they're like, we're going to do the bare minimum.
Well, remember that story? I think it was about 4 to 6 months ago. It was within this calendar year. I believe it was in the run up to the Netflix show With Love. I forget the name. And the pod that Ari Emanuel himself was like, I've had it with her. Like,
Mhm.
she had called and made some other insane demand. I think it was basically that like they write her show for her or whatever. And and he was like, I'm done with her. Like, the low levels can deal with her. It's enough.
Right. I mean, it is so amazing to me that the idea of success for whoever that was in the comments was this podcast with Emma, because you're capable of so much more. I've said a million times, I can't believe she never did Kelly Clarkson. I think that that's going away. I think, unfortunately, your girl Hoda might swoop in and get the Kelly Clarkson show, which
I don't think
thoughts.
it's happening.
Oh,
I well,
really?
I don't. I
Do you
don't.
think Kelly will leave? Because she seems incredibly unhappy.
Yeah, I think she'll leave probably. Shows like that, especially in this fractured legacy media landscape, are, lightning in a bottle. And I
Hmm.
think the success of the Kelly Clarkson show is due to Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
Hoda's not that generation. There's nothing authentic about her. We're seeing it with all this joy crap she's trying to sell. She just doesn't have it. She's an idiot. She can't sit and relate to somebody. And I would imagine, if Megan's at WME and she's got real power players behind her, that is a booking you want.
Right.
The Kelly Clarkson stamp of approval is what you want. And I would bet even Kelly, as frazzled as she is and seemingly like really looking for the exit ramp here, is like, that woman is not befouling my set. I am not going to be tainted with her pig pen like dust. Not happening.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right. Well, you've been so gracious with your time today. Thank you so much for talking to me. And if you haven't caught our conversation, head over to The Nerve with Maureen Callahan on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts, because I was on this week and I thought it was a pretty fun conversation. But
Yep.
otherwise, I look forward to talking to you again very soon, Maureen. You know, I love you. Thanks for chatting.
Same, Kinsey. I love you too. Thanks for having me.
Bye.